there's no running water on the unit, so there's shit and trash bags and all this crazy stuff. And next thing you know, we flipped over all the bunk beds. So in Cambridge, they had an overflow and the cells were over here. We flipped over all the bunk beds.
Yeah.
And then we put shampoo in between all the bunk beds and pissed on the shampoo. So I got bailed out. So it was 17 years old and I had an armed robbery and they were going to drop it to larceny from a person. And my cousin came to bail me out on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And I didn't even want to get bailed out.
Wow. Why?
I don't know. My boy AJ was next to me. I'm 16 years old, just turned 17. I became, this is my environment, and I'm just going to take the 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, whatever they're going to offer me.
Welcome back to the W Number Podcast, man. We got my friend Eddie here, guy. He's a good dude, man. He's been around. He's got a great story. Shit that interrelates to my story in many different ways. Things that you could relate to on a whole different level. Like, you know, he's got a cool story, bro. I'm going to let him tell it, though. Tell him what your name is, man. And, you know, let us know what an important thing about yourself. Like something that people should know right out the rip.
My name's Eddie Payne. I grew up inside of Malden. And an important thing about myself is I'm capable of being able to witness the truth from a different angle today. Like, for instance, like, you know, even being incarcerated and getting, you know, conditioned if somebody was to call me a bitch.
Word.
Right now, if someone was to use the B word, obviously the first thought is I'm going to shove a piece of steel in the side of their head, right?
Yeah.
And then now if somebody was to call me that, I probably would look around for cameras and be a little bit more sympathetic. And realize that, because a guy changed my life. Like, so first off, I got 8 years of sobriety right now. And I just want people to know the only reason why I came on here is because I respect everything that this kid's doing. And you can tell when you're watching the videos that it's completely transparent and honest. And, you know, if you get goosebumps when people sit inside the truth, that's what really draws attention to me. If someone's just kind of talking, it's really not going to do it for me. Being inside of recovery, a guy changed the course inside of my existence. And it simply looked like this. He did some federal time. I met him inside of Rhode Island. I was desperate. We were going to AA meetings inside of Boston. The shit was getting stale out there. And then it's either I was going to throw the towel in and quit AA, or we were going to try to expand our horizons and get to the next phase inside of our development. We go to Rhode Island and we see some guy and he hit me with the truth. I start talking to him and I still had that mentality of like, it is what it is. I had a murder one face on standing in the back of the meeting and I was acting tough at an AA meeting.
Right.
And the guy goes, I start creating a rapport with him and he looks me in the face and he goes, what if I was to call you a bitch right now? No, first he asked me, do you like to be incarcerated, yes or no?
Yeah.
And I went, no. What kind of question is that? What are you, a wizard? What are you, a fed? Like, do I like to be incarcerated? He said, answer it honestly. Do you like to be incarcerated, yes or no?
Yeah.
And I go, no. He goes, what if I was to call you a bitch? And I looked him directly in his face and I told him, if you call me that right now, you're going to have to pay consequences for that. And then he said, interesting, you have a lot of work to do because you're willing to go back to a place that you despise off a word that you learned that it was no good from a place that you despise. And still to this day, I'm not saying anybody could call me that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to look at the world differently.
Right. It's difficult, bro. I can say it from my point of view, knowing that if I do anything, I'm going to do a life sentence, right? So if someone calls me a bitch, it's a huge commitment for me to fucking hook off on them. They have to really get under my skin. And like, so that person had, you know, I don't know, man. I'd have to be able to, You'd have to get the right, but I am not letting somebody take me out my game, bro. Just I'm not gonna do it. But like you said, I'm not letting anybody just disrespect me like that, bro. But I'm just not going out of my dude. People ain't calling me a bitch because motherfuckers respect me.
Because the respect's there. Yeah. But I thought it was profound of how shattered my thinking was.
Right.
Right? I'm ready to go back to a place that I despise. From a word that I learned that you have to stand on your ground, your 10 toes, and then I'm willing to go back to a place that I despise. Obviously, nobody's going to be able to do that without, getting addressed, but it was just cool. And that's which is funny because that's what made me want to get deep into the recovery process. Right. When you have a stand-up guy that his credentials check out, that when you look into his eyes, you understand that there's a wolf in there. And you ever heard the term, I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war?
No, I haven't, but it's pretty cool.
I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I could just feel that this dude had the capacity to be very, very dangerous. But the kindness that was spewing out of his pores made me feel comfortable to allow him to give me that game.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're a wizard.
Bro, a warrior in a garden rather than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
That's a fucking dope-ass statement. Because, when I was in prison, me and my boy Nick, we would sit on Sunday mornings, we would listen to the Celtic Sojourn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we would sit there and we would always talk to each other about, like, peace and, like, finding a place in life that's peaceful and, like, going to the middle of nowhere and being around nobody and just, fuck this life. Like, we didn't like it no more. Like, we were sitting ourselves and we would choose to go down to population and continuously fight and go back to the hole. But it was always like in the back of my mind, like that's what we wanted. That's what we chased was peace and that feeling of peace. And we would listen to that like Celtic music and just try to like feel peaceful and shit.
That's unbelievable.
And it's like, that's what warriors want in their heart is peace. You know what I mean? And that's what gardeners want in their heart. I feel like it's war or something. Like everybody wants what they don't have, but until they got it.
So Jordan Peterson, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Peterson, but he's one of the best psychological minds in the whole entire world. Through my perception, it would probably go like Carl Jung, right? And then it would be the New Age era would be Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson says, I want you to be very dangerous. I want you to have the capacity to be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And learn how to harness
that.
Because that's what makes a good person.
Word.
What makes a good person is somebody that's capable of doing it.
Hell yeah.
And then learns how to harness that to be a good person. That's where good comes from.
Well, in Asian culture, your usefulness and your wealth and your value came from your ability to do things. You know what I mean? So, it was merit-based. Everything was merit-based over there. I feel like if we had a merit-based society over here, we'd have a lot more things getting done correctly anyway. But let me ask you about your childhood. Where'd you grow up? And did you have brothers and sisters? What was your neighborhood like?
So I'm from Malden, Massachusetts. Maplewood.
Maplewood. Oh, you know Haggerty?
I do know Haggerty.
You know Sean Haggerty?
Yeah.
Ah! Yo, shout out to Sean Haggerty, bro.
Yeah.
Sean Haggerty, man. Oh, little guy. I loved him. Little furball.
Yeah. Haggerty, we grew up together. He's from Linden Projects.
Yeah.
So inside of Malden, you get, Linden and Maplewood, they kind of are together. It's like, it's the same thing. Childhood was horrible, to be authentic. My mother was a single mother with 5 kids.
Yeah.
My father completely lost his mind because he's a war vet.
Right.
He came back from overseas, and the guy was completely a couple cans shy from a 6-pack.
Really, bro? So your father would come. When he came, did you know him before he went?
Yeah. And
so was he a kind, cool dude?
He always had that edge to him. He's from He's from Rosendale and High Park. He's a tough guy. He's infatuated with boxing, like Pepper Roach and like Freddie Roach, the guy that trains Manny Pacquiao.
Yep. Like, I know all about him.
They were in the Archdale Projects hitting the mitts. So this dude's just
get the fuck out of here. So he was hitting the mitts with Freddie Roach and all that?
Pepper.
Pepper Roach, yeah. Oh, that's dope. That's a pretty cool story.
But he was always said that, but he's a good dude. Like, he provided for his family to the best of his ability. And the dude came back and he was a complete monster.
Yeah. Could you compare that? Because I always wondered, right, if you could compare the way people are when they come back from war to the way that people are when they come back from a long stretch in max prison. Like, the way their mentality is. You're fucked up.
You're at war.
Yeah, in your mind, right? Like,
who are you at war with? Yourself and the police.
Yeah.
It's the same exact format. They've got real bullets whizzing by their head, but I'm pretty sure those pepper balls, and I know for a fact, those things sing.
Yo, man, them fucking blades, bro. We fight our wars with, like, the old Japanese samurai Viking fucking warrior way, bro. Like, we fight with steel and swords, bro. Straight look you in the eye when I'm killing you type shit.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dad, he came back a complete lunatic. That got me full of anger and rage because my mother became a punching bag.
Right.
And I remember, boom, he moved out to California, San Diego, California, where he was stationed. And, you know, probably at a very young age, like 4 years old, I remember my most vivid moments was I woke up in the middle of the night and I watched this dude knock her out unconscious and fill up the bathtub.
Oh.
Right? And I didn't say anything. I'm 4 years old. I crawled back to bed and was petrified. And that's probably why, like, later on inside the future, if somebody, you know, hits a female or gets crazy, I probably would be the kid that wanted to be seen as he's the protector.
Right.
Because at that moment right there, like, I quiver. You know, obviously, you're not eligible to do anything. So if somebody does something, I might try to force it.
Right.
And it isn't really to prove the world that I'm a hero. It's to prove to myself that I'm not a coward.
Yo, because you always think about that moment. It probably haunted you for years, probably, right?
Oh, torture.
Yeah.
And you know, and then it got progressively worse where my mother had to escape in the wee hours of the night. And she called my grandmother up. She's from Somerville. Rest in peace. You know, my whole family's from Somerville. I'm a Malden kid, but, you know, she called up my grandmother. They sent us tickets on a Greyhound bus, and it took us 4 days and 3 nights to come back to Massachusetts, and we only had the clothes on our back and peanut butter and jelly. And we get to my grandmother's house, and she had a 1-bedroom apartment, and there's 5 kids, my mother inside of her. So we end up, you know, moving out here, and we ended up going to Salisbury.
Okay.
Salisbury Beach. And my grandmother was infatuated with it because there's a lot of history what happened between the Irish gang wars in Salisbury. That's where it all started.
Get the fuck out of here.
The Winter Hill gang and the McLaughlin gang.
Okay, yeah.
That's where it all happened.
Yeah,
and my grandmother's a Somerville chick, and she was at the party that night.
Right.
So she ended up moving out there. So imagine, this is like a pretty ritzy place.
Right.
Now all of a sudden I have the same clothes and I'm getting tormented inside of school.
Yeah.
Tortured.
Right.
Which was understandable. We start getting a little bit older, and then we move to Malden, and now it starts getting a little bit crazy because these kids are a different animal, right? The way you would seek acceptance would be to steal cars and get inside of physical altercations, and it's a very diverse city, so there's no color code. So my neighborhood, there's no color code. There wouldn't be like the whites with the whites or the blacks with the blacks. It's Asian, Spanish, black, and white kids, and it's a pretty small hole in the wall. And if you were to think of the city of Malden, you'd be like, and the truth is, we had issues with every single surrounding city. So it was like a scene from the Warriors. And we're getting attacked. Revere, Chelsea, Medford, right? All these people, well, shout out to, but all these other places. And
big cities too.
Yeah, and I remember like even the smallest moments growing up, we'd go to the Roller World dance, and it'd be the city of Everett, the city of Revere, the city of Chelsea, and half of Lynn versus Malden. And we would go there, 30 of us, thinking we were tough or whatever, and the thing, though, there's cities, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And So it was just sucked.
North Shore, right?
Yeah, the whole North Shore, dude. Yeah. So to bring it back on like the growing up, it was horrible, but she did the best she could. So shout out to you, Ma.
Yeah, fact, bro.
You did such a phenomenal job, right? I took it personal though because I was hungry.
Yo, you're stupid as shit, bro.
I was hungry. But so I get to a neighborhood where now I really got to try being accepted.
Yeah.
So here's the point about it, right?
Yeah.
You will get fucked up. If you're from over there and you act tough, it doesn't matter who you are. You'll get something will happen to you. It doesn't matter where you're from, it's where you're at. And, obviously I moved there and now I gotta fit in and I see these kids stealing cars and they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And people are getting tased for fun in the projects. And when after you smoke dust, they throw you in a trunk for fun. And now I really gotta exert myself. And I get the concept that all I have to do is try a little bit more hard and I'm gonna be cool. Yeah. And that's what it looked like. Just wanting to seek acceptance.
When's the first time you end up getting in trouble and shit?
I was 12 years old. And it was messed up because horrible experience too, but it happened. So anybody that's been inside of the DYS, Harvard Street.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't make it to Charlestown unit, and the Charlestown unit was with all the Crips. I made it to the Spectrum unit. Here's the problem. I ended up stealing a car with my boy. We called him, his name was Kirk. And the cops become behind us, and he drives down a place called Mount Hood in Malden. And, he's not hitting the brakes. So he ends up whipping, he smashes into a tree. And I smashed through the front of the car, and I put my hand up to try to block my head. Yeah. And I broke my arm. So now I get arrested, and I get brought to the hospital, and the only color cast that they had was blue. Okay, so this is the first experience inside of DYS.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I go to Harvard Street. They put me on Spectrum unit, all bloods. I remember them specifically today. Shout out, right? I remember this kid Raccoon came up to me. I remember another couple Boston BRD dudes, a couple kids from Lynn, a couple kids from Revere. To make a long story short, I really didn't have a really good stay.
Right? To say the least.
Yeah. But it was still cool, right? It is what it is. But it wasn't a good stay. That's all I can say. Just though we were going.
Yeah.
Whenever you take a piss, you just turn around, they're there. You're like, damn, bro.
Were you getting in a lot of fights and stuff when you were in DYS?
Oh, yeah, because my cast was blue.
So that's why you were fighting.
Think about it. Because, look, if you have that mindset, what you do.
Right.
I don't ever think anybody in the face of earth could walk up to you and be like, what's up?
Right.
Boop. Like, that's it. Like, there's no words, especially if you're in that mindset.
Yeah.
So I have a blue cast, and I'm not going to explain to these people why I have the blue cast. It's just, you came up, what's up? And then we just go, and then now they're beating me up.
What do you mean? Like, so if a kid comes up to you and is like saying hello or something?
No, like, what's up? Like, you know how it is when you're younger? Like,
because you got
he thought I was a Crip.
After this DYS bid, you get out, go home, and then how old are you at this point? What ends up happening? How's your life at this point?
It was interesting because I maybe spent about 7.5 years all county bids. All right? And I'm talking about, like, if the worst luck of all time, I'm talking about 9 months, 6 months, 9 months, just like little stupid things, and then waiting on Cambridge for the big one. So look, it's now we're 15 and 16, and the day that I turned 17 years old, I caught an armed robbery.
Right.
So now it's immediately Cambridge. And I went to Cambridge, and I think it was the last generation before. There was actually some real convicts, and they were good men. And I went there, and they broke the analogy down of why an individual can't wear flip-flops on a unit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Right.
Hey, here's the reason why.
Why? Would they catch you out there wearing your flip-flops or something?
Well, you know how in Cambridge back in the day, you got flip-flops. You didn't even get, like, the bobos. They just sent you up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was some good dudes. Like, I was young, so I saw Sully. He was on the...
Okay, Sully was there. Yeah, my guy Sully. Yep.
He was there, and
salute to Sully.
Yeah, man. You know, that's one of the first dudes that I've ever. He like showed dudes how to move at a very young age, just before he even went up to max. Like,
right.
He came from like a federal.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he was there, and he was the most illest gentleman.
Right.
And he was a good dude. Like he taught people how to move respectfully.
Right.
I respected it. I never forgot about that. This is going on 25 years.
Yeah, no, Sully's definitely an elite motherfucker. I like Sully, bro. He's one of my brothers. He's a good dude.
I only spent a little bit of time with him, but like those are impressions that will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
It got me through a lot of sticky situations while incarcerated, right? He taught me how to move appropriately. And like you said earlier, nobody's going to come out their neck to you because you're such a respectful guy.
Right.
And that's how I move.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you give them no reason to be crazy. And that way, if they are and they do get crazy,
you deserve
it. You got every right to go as hard as you want. You know what I mean? Because that's the way I looked at it. If I get into a beef, it's going to be super justified. So that way, when you end up in the hospital and you got, a rods in your jaw, you know why it happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how long do you end up doing in the county? Do you run into anybody else in there?
Oh, yeah.
Who do you run into in the county?
My boy, Feeney.
Feeney? Okay, I know Feeney.
Feeney's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
He'll always be a part of my heart. He did something, when we were growing up, and he ended up going upstate for that for a while. I ran into, my other boy, Jimma and AJ, and, they showed me how to move and conduct myself, and they had my back. And I was just a little 17-year-old wild kid trying to fight everybody, losing majority of them, but still showing up.
Yeah.
And they showed me, and they had my back. I'll never forget, like, I got bailed out. So it was 17 years old, and I had an armed robbery, and they were going to drop it to larceny from a person, and my cousin came to bail me out on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And I didn't even want to get bailed out.
Wow. Why?
I don't know. My boy AJ was next to me. I'm 16 years old, just turned 17. This is my environment, and I'm just going to take the 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, whatever they're going to offer me. And when I randomly got bailed and the doors opened up and they said, Payne, pack it up, you've made bail, I felt this over-sensing urgency of fear come over me. And I was like, I don't want to go. I tell my friend, I don't even want to go.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, nah, dude. Like, because I'm already...
They kicked you out of the jail?
Basically, because I was afraid. Because now I don't have anything.
Right.
I don't have anything. I never held a job before. I never, definitely can't go to mom. Shout out to her, but she don't have it like that. And I'm coming home to the scorecards reading 0. And I'm more comfortable inside of here with my guys because I know I'm going to eat every night. I had nothing. So he goes, you better get out of here. And I get out. And then I get out, and it only lasts for like 3 or 4 months. And then we catch an armed assault with intent to murder.
Damn.
Yeah.
I actually, that was my last case was an armed home invasion, armed assault, intent to murder, armed burglary. They stacked it up, just repetitive charges, but yeah.
And then I sat for that, and then all of a sudden, you know how that goes. You sit again, and then I got dismissed. Okay, and then it was just that's what it looked like for, maybe 7.5 years on and off county bids.
Yeah, so did you ever feel like at any time, like, this is going to go on forever, like, I'm never going to get out of this cycle going to the county, in and out, in and out?
It was just, I think that's more depressing.
Yeah.
Because you don't even, especially doing majority of your time in Billerica.
Yeah.
Right? You get really good at learning how to sit in silence. So it's funny because we talk about solitary confinement. And it's like, well, I'm a prisoner in my own mind. So it's funny how majority of the convicts that are conditioned or inmates, right, whatever you prefer, is conditioned. It's funny how every single one of you are really capable of reading levels of silence that you didn't even know that occurred. Like, for instance, if it gets silent inside of a room, what could possibly happen? And the reason why I run from silence and I'm addicted to chaos is because the correlation between silence is somebody's going to get fucked up.
The quiet before the storm, you mean?
Someone could possibly get hurt. So that's why I've always addicted to chaos, because look, when
people get hurt in chaos too.
True, but silence, when it gets quiet, it's just something different about it.
Yeah. Well, you get stuck thinking or hearing what's inside here. You know what I mean? It's too quiet out there. You're in here. You know what I mean? That's what it is about being in solitary confinement and being in the hole. Like, you end up thinking a lot, and just, those thoughts are loud sometimes. You know what I mean? You'll be sitting in your cell, like, and if you let those thoughts overtake, your reason, you know what I mean? That's when chaos happens, Let your thoughts dictate and control your behaviors, your emotion, you know what I mean? Emotional thoughts and shit. But what's going on? So you go through this, like, in and out, doing like little skit bids. What's the longest bid you ever did in county?
18 months.
Okay, and you said at one point you ran into Jerry's kid and shit like that, and you guys ended up jumping a cop.
Yeah, so I was gonna bring the D report because I was pretty proud of that moment. So we called it the Memorial Day Massacre, right? And I got away with a lot of things. Flood. Now you know how it goes. Everybody does that shit, dude. So we had an individual on the unit that was going to the law library every day. And obviously when you're incarcerated and you're an inmate, you really don't have too many rights other than running water. So the whole Cambridge jail, all the water broke inside the establishment.
Right.
And dudes were actually shitting inside of trash bags. Nobody could flush the toilet.
Right.
So they ended up doing what they were supposed to do, but it took 48 hours. What? It took 72 hours for them to contact all the other jails to see where the room is before you get transferred out. And me and Jackie Graham and Josh, we're on the unit, and we're showing him love. He's a summerable kid, and his dad has a good name, right? We're showing him some love.
Yep.
Next thing you know, Jackie's like, "Fuck this! You want to go to war with him?" And we gathered all the Spanish dudes and all the black dudes. And the guy goes, "We're gonna get away with it because our rights is we need access to running water 24 hours a day." So now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it starts getting real spooky because they come back on the unit and they're like, "All right, guys, pack your stuff. Payne, Graham, and so, you guys are going to Ludlow County." And we're like, "Whoa." Yeah, they just started shipping everywhere, wherever there was beds. So they would just grab 10 here, 20 here, and you got to ship everybody out. And we're like, "Yeah, all right." So they were like, "No, like, seriously, pack it up." We're like, "No. There's no running water on the unit, so there's shit and trash bags and all this crazy stuff." And next thing you know, we flipped over all the bunk beds. So in Cambridge, they had an overflow, and the cells were over here. We flipped over all the bunk beds.
Yeah.
And then we put shampoo in between all the bunk beds and pissed on the shampoo. So now it starts getting crazy because we're at the back of the tier. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the National Guards start coming in. These guys with sideways hats. They wasn't the SIR team, and they had German Shepherds, and they were like, "No, like, you guys got to pack up." They're like, "Come to the front of the bubble." So we came, and we're like, "We're not going to Ludlow," and they're like, "You don't have a choice," and we're like, "Yeah, right." So now an hour or something goes back, and cameras start getting broken. And now people are really starting to like, everybody wants to engage in the activity until it starts getting real. And then you see everybody's starting to slowly back away going, I got a family. I have to make it home.
Yeah.
I'm not participating in this.
Right.
And we were like, if you guys report to the front of the bubble right now, you're dead. Like, we're going to hook off on you.
Yeah.
So now we're at the back. They gave us one last warning. Spanish dude tried like walking to the front of the bubble, and my boy just hooked off on him. And then it was and weird like mace things.
Wow.
And we're hiding behind the bed. Me and my boy Jackie Graham. Shout out to Jackie Graham, man. He's a phenomenal Somerville dude. I love him. And we're hiding behind the bed, dude. And pepper balls are whizzing by our face. Yeah. Obviously, we got the apparel on, magazines. We were strapped up. And I'm talking about while we're hiding behind the slab of steel, it's hitting the wall.
Yeah.
Jackie says, what are we going to do? And I go, I don't know. You were our leader. I go, I was ready to follow you into the depths of hell. What do you mean you didn't plan this out? He goes, dude, no. So we look down, and I guess you could say whatever you want, but I saw some random canteen bag while we were in the middle of war. This is how sick it was. I'll never forget. And Jackie goes, whose canteen bag is that? The whole unit's ripped apart.
Yeah.
I reach in it and grab a Snickers. They're whizzing by our head.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's checks. He's like, on 3, let's just get up and run. Let's just because there's no. You were saying in the CERT team, like they come in, you just kind of gotta just do your best.
Yeah.
He said, on 3, we're getting up and we're just going. And I'm like, fuck it, dude. And that was hands down the worst mistake I've ever made. Then I still regret it to this day because my jaw, my arm got broken. And they really did a number on me for that. But it was an interesting experience. So we charge him. Correctional Officer Lee, right? It said on the D report. And some people that are watching this right now, I know for a fact you're going to smile because you were there. The guy tried shooting me in the head with the pepper ball gun, and I rolled up and snatched it out of his hand. And then they beat the shit out of me. To the point where even the nurses said, you're going to kill him. So now I'm naked, covered with mace, and they dragged me from the 19th tier, and intake was on 17. And you know the metal steps? I'm naked.
Yeah.
They're dragging me, my front. My piece is scraping up against the metal stairs, my guy.
Yeah.
My domino was hurting.
Get the fuck out of here. You got a domino? Stop lying. You got to buy. I want to know right now.
I got the domino effect.
Yo, who did it for you?
I did it myself.
Stop lying.
I would
a Puerto Rican did that shit.
No, listen, I would tell you, all jokes aside, my boy Matty Hall, right? He's a good dude. He explained it to me, and I walked around the yard with him in Bill Ricker for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And I highly suggest you don't do that by yourself. Maddie, you know what I'm talking about. He said, how to come out. And he looked down, he said, self-mutilation at the highest volumes?
Yo, that is the most, oh man, I could not imagine. Imagine if your dick gets infected, bro.
Bro, I was scared.
You have to go to the nurse, you're like, and they're like, why do you have a heart-shaped domino in your penis, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know how it got there.
Yeah.
It's infected, though.
Yeah.
Your dick's like 7 times the size. Like, no, it's normally that big. You're like, yeah, dude.
No, so I start charging, and then I ripped the pepper ball gun out of his hand, and then they beat the shit out of me and dragged me from 19 to 17, and they ship us to Bill Ricker, Cambridge side, and we're naked on the van, the transport van, and the lights were on. We never seen anything like it. And we get to Bill Ricker, and everybody's hitting the windows, all the people in the hall, because I guess like they got the word that we just destroyed Cambridge and made it over to Bill Ricker. And I think I'm going to the hall because, like, you know a couple people down there, and you're going to get a cup of coffee or whatever it may be. They brought us right to the wine cellar. So if anybody that isn't familiar in Bill Ricker, the wine cellar is like 5 or 6 police station cells on slabs of steel, and they closed it down years ago, but they opened it up for our actions. So it's completely...
They have a wine cellar?
They call it the wine cellar. They call it literally, it's called lower report.
Is there wine in there?
I probably made it up because people be whining a lot.
Right? The wine cellar.
Yo, get me out of here.
Yo, stop bitching in the wine cellar. Yo, oh my God, you're hilarious.
But so it's called Lower Report.
Yeah.
And it's the hole underneath the hole.
Yeah.
So there's only a few cells down there.
Yeah.
And we're just rotting down there. Me and Jackie, we're looking at each other going, this is bad. I had broken arm, still covered in mace.
Right.
On a slab of steel.
Right.
Finger foods.
Yeah.
No running water.
Right.
Dusty because they opened it up. It's probably closed for like 4. Like, the shit was crazy. We're like, dude, this is horrible. And if there was a hell, you know, we probably made it there. Dude.
So what happens when you get to the other jail?
They shipped us right to Lower Report.
And so you just, what is in there? What's in there, though?
Just picture a police station cell with a slab of steel, and that's it.
That's it. And what do you do for rec?
You just come out, and it's the size of this. It's like being in
And how long were you there for?
I spent almost...
You spent months.
4 months, yeah.
4 months.
4 months.
In this little fucking police station with a tiny wreck.
Horrible.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, 4 months, but then...
How many other dudes was there?
Just him. And then there was this weird kid from Fall River that he was just like a lunatic.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, they had you guys in a dungeon somewhere, dude.
The Lower Report.
For 4 months.
Yeah.
When you guys came out there, you had beards and you knew weird things about each other?
Yeah. What's your deepest, intimate secret? No, but all jokes aside, so I actually pled out because allegedly I didn't know this just from being uneducated. And I plead out because if you're on sentence and then you plead out to a case, obviously your whole time gets overlooked and then you get to go to Newman.
Yeah.
I said, I would have done this months ago. But the lawyer, it wasn't even like nothing crazy. I went there for like possession of marijuana. This is when weed was illegal.
Right.
I went there for possession of marijuana and then this ended up happening.
Your fucking bids must be comical. I can only imagine being in the hole with you.
It was so fun.
Yo.
And you know what I'm talking about. There has to be some sort of gratitude in that. Like, it was fun at times. I don't care what anybody says.
You know, here's the thing, right? If you have the right people around you, you could truly have, you know, make memories that are worthwhile. You know what I mean? I've had some good memories with guys. 100%. You know, funny ass memories too. Especially the funniest dudes are really the guys that are the best to do time around. Like Kicker. Bro, Kicker's hilarious, bro. This dude, Billy Barton, man, like, he was a white dude, bro. He used to have whole arguments and conversations with guys on the tier, like he was a Spanish gang member. and get them all like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be bugging out, like, he'd be like, oh, and he'd be like, yo, that's so fucked up, and when I see you, I'll cussing you, dog. Like, my whole squad, dog. Hey, yo, this dude be like, bro, what the fuck you talking about, bro? Like, oh, yo, he would get me going so fucking, I'm telling you, he was a funny prick. But that's the best people to do time around. It's funny motherfuckers, bro. But so you destroy Cambridge.
We did. Right?
And who else? What happens? You get time for that? You get smoked?
Yeah. So in my head, for assaulting a correctional officer, because obviously now we're inside a Lower Report and we get the ticket, and then from Lower Report we end up going to the slaughterhouse, aka when they moved it to Medford, Cambridge Superior, we call it the slaughterhouse, or is it in Woburn or Medford at this point?
What's that?
The slaughterhouse, Cambridge Superior. So we ended up going and we got the D report, and no, it wasn't in Superior at this point. It didn't make it to Superior Court. So we get the ticket, and then they were like trying to like say that we're going to get indicted and that I have to look at like maybe 5 years for assaulting a correctional officer. Mm. And inside of my weird head, I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Right.
What else? Like, now it's already here, and I don't want to show any emotion because I'm with my friend that I was willing to ride out with and go to the deepest depths of hell if he asked me to, and I just didn't care. But don't get it twisted. When the doors closed every single night, I cared.
Hell yeah.
So it was pretty savage. And think about it, like 5-minute conversation with this beautiful guy, and you already know that it's good energy, right? So typically, if you wake up every day and you have to portray the image of a sociopath, but you're really a good person, that could do psychological damage to a human being.
Absolutely.
Like, like that's what you're acting like you're unpenetratable. The truth is, you do get desensitized and calloused heart.
Oh my God.
But
so
dude,
bad.
it's still, I was pretending.
But there's the thing about me is I went in, I wasn't smart enough to pretend. So I just acted like my stupid, emotional fucking like self that cared. And, I was just too genuine to be, for my own good. I just didn't care what people thought. But, and that's what made it so much harder at the end of the day, because people took advantage of that at first. You know what I mean? And, if you're like, for me, I'm not a bitch. So like, as soon as I know you're trying to fucking play games, or you're trying to get over on me, or you think I'm some type of sucker, then it's an issue right away. So it caused me more issues than I could have avoided them just by being a dickhead to everybody. But,
True.
So you got to be kind of a dickhead in prison. You know what I mean? Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I got by the best in my bid by being diplomatic, especially when I had the weight and like I had the K2, I had all that shit going for me. Being diplomatic's the way to go, because you could do business across every race, every gang. You know what I mean? You could cross borders, so like you could reach more people, and that's how you bring in more money. But like, and you can't really be fighting with all these people while you're making money. You lose money, So
True.
you have to, like, in prison, you kind of be diplomatic. You even with the cops, you get a lot more with honey than you do with sugar, bro. You don't have to be a rat. You just gotta be respectful, mutually respectful. That's it with everybody.
True.
Yeah. It's a good lesson in life out here too. Mutual respect goes mad far, bro.
True.
And the people that don't return it, that's their own loss, bro. You know what I mean? Just don't talk to them no more, But you deal with a lot of people in like AA and shit, right?
Yeah, like, and not for nothing, like that. I was waiting for you to deal with this question. Now we're getting to the specialty.
Yeah.
Right? I love to reminisce about the old, what it looked like, just because I do feel if anybody gives themselves to the glorious power of God and tries to become a better version of themselves, even the most distraught mindsets are capable of change.
Okay.
Right? That's my perception on life. No matter how morbid and dark an individual, or full of shame, or wallowing in self-pity, or have homicidal ideations or suicidal ideations, that feel like the only hope that you ever received was in the bottom of a fucking bottle or a bag of dope. If you even look at Saul in the Bible, that was the baddest guy to ever walk the face of the earth. He used to behead Christians for fun and then drag their body around on a horse.
Then he became Paul.
He became Paul, the rebirth. And that's kind of what you're doing with your life right now. And that's how I would like to perceive myself. Maybe not to that magnitude, but like if an individual like that can change, like that's attractive to me.
Yo, my word as a man, on many occasions I've related my life to Saul and Paul. Come on. Fact. That's so crazy that you said that.
That's wild.
Because I've read that. I read it so much in the Bible. I read my Bible too, so I'm into it, man. I'm spiritual, because I feel like there's many levels of knowledge in this world, and spirituality is a whole realm of knowledge, and just being in touch with your spirituality self. Like, you have to stay spiritually healthy, physically healthy, and mentally healthy. There's 3 aspects to your health, I think. Maybe more than that. And I just said, like, I'm not that developed yet, but spiritual health is important to me. I think it rounds you out and helps me feel peace and balance inside. You know what I mean?
True.
So it goes with your mental health. You know what I mean? Like,
so what about, like, you know how, like, everybody heard this saying, like, the best trick the enemy's ever played was what?
By convincing you he's not real.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So look, here's the most morbid lie that an individual would ever be able to tell themselves. And we're bringing it to elementary school status. If you're looking for inner peace, why would you ever look outside of yourself for inner peace? Right? And that's a great lie. Like, if I'm seeking inner freedom and fucking serenity from the bondage of my morbid thought process, why would I ever look outside of myself for inner peace? And the whole purpose is unlearning the morbid conditioning that I had to adopt for survival tactics. That's it. I have to unlearn the shit that's been pressed upon me because it's not going to work at this phase of my development.
Let me ask you a question. Even about your AA, fucking Mr. AA, fucking, I see you over here on your soapbox. You was about to start preaching, weren't you?
I was about to get crazy. I'm feeling good right now.
Yo, word, bro, because that's nice. How it is. I bring the vibe to the podcast, bro. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? Just getting to the root of all causes, right? But yo, so did you get high when you was in jail in prison?
First time I ever got high was in Cambridge, and it was suboxone.
That's the first time you ever got high?
No, on an opiate.
On an opiate, though.
Yeah.
So what is your main drug of choice?
Angel dust.
Angel dust?
Yeah.
And so that's like, where did you start doing angel dust?
You know, a friend of mine's from California, and, you know, we're not going to say any names, but our boy, Beanie.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just flooded it. They used to go to, you know, Harlem and get an abundance of it and come back, and, you know, that's when I got infatuated with the effect produced by angel dust.
Yeah. What would you say the effect is like?
It's interesting. It can fluctuate, but I've had phenomenal highs. I thought I was a gangbanger from Los Angeles for like a week, and I was just rolling around, you know, sucker punching people, walking down the street, like stuff like that. Like what are you looking at?
Yo, you a fucking mental case guy.
No, literally, like, and then another experience was, this one was kind of dark. I thought that I was the chosen one. So I'll never forget this. I was up for 9 days. I wrapped up from Bill Ricker in the hole. So I wrapped up. I had some pretty decent weight because I had a nice routine going on, right? We'd probably try to get, you know, no sit-ups, a lot of push-ups, and then dips on the bed. And we got in fair shape for what they're feeding you, because, like, you know how it is. But we did okay. I came out, and that only lasted maybe 9 days.
Yeah.
That lasted 9 days, and I found myself back in Bill Ricker because I ended up smoking dust, and I smoked it for 9 straight days. And then I walked inside of my house, and my mother, very spiritual woman, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a scapula.
A scapula, like
the Blessed Mother Mary used to wear it. So to make a long story short, it's just like a little rope, and on it will say, like, whoever wears this won't suffer eternal flame.
Okay.
So I walk in, dude, and I'm up for 9 days, and I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm out of my mind.
Yeah.
For some weird reason, she's like talking to me like in such a good, she's disarming whatever emotion that I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Because it was real spooky. It was to the point where, rest in peace, Corey James DeCiccio, he ended up getting shot in the face in 2010, and he got murdered from gang violence, and he got killed. And it was a real spooky era where, you know, there was a lot of stuff going down. And I smoked dust, and next thing you know, I'm in a real weird mindset, and my mother's disarming me from that emotion. And then she looked at me and told me, "You're gonna die." And I was like, now I'm bugging. I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she put the scapula over my head while I'm hot. And I'll never forget this. I just felt this warm blanket like on me. And then after that, I snapped into a psychosis that I was the fucking chosen one. Okay? And I just rolling around pretending like I was the chosen one for a couple days.
Yo, this story just totally took a left turn. I thought this was like an epiphany from God.
No.
You like changed your life, but then you were like, and then I was the chosen one for fucking 2 weeks.
No, then I got incarcerated and went back to Bill Ricker. I was out for 9 days. And then I went right to the hole. I went right to the hole because I was up for 9 days. And I get to Bill Ricker, and now they know me by a first name basis, and I'm tweaking on the unit, and I can't come down from the dust. So I'm like, "Hey, can I get a white shirt?" I walk up to the bubble because I wanted to make a voluntary trip to the hole.
Yeah.
Because I can't. I was like, "Yeah, I got to just go get sleep." That was my main thing.
Yeah.
I just need to go to bed, and they didn't take it serious. So I go into the barbershop, and I grab the chair, and I back myself into it, and I start calling on all the cops, and then they called white shirts and they took it serious and they said, Payne, what are you doing? And I said, I just want to go to bed. And they walked me down to the hole. And I got a 10-day ticket and slept for 4 days and woke up and we were good. Went back to the unit. Like, that's what it looked like. I was only out for 9 days.
Yeah.
It was so...
And this was a reoccurring theme.
Yeah, dude.
And it was all angel dust, basically?
No, and then obviously it progresses.
And what'd you do? Start doing heroin?
Yeah.
Okay. And why? And you feel like what? It all started from the opiates in jail, the Suboxone? You just started liking it from that?
When you, and you know, if you feel the euphoria of an opiate,
yeah.
I want to return to the motherland every chance that I get.
Mm.
It's an exclusive, warm, cozy, comfortable feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm trying to escape this thing between my ears.
Right.
By any means necessary. And the only time I can feel silence is when we're under the spell. Like,
yeah.
So it's
not real, though.
No. False spiritual.
Because it makes it a lot louder after that sound is over, every time. Especially once you have to kick that shit. It'll be loud enough.
But think about wine and spirits. Just look at alcohol. We'll just talk about alcohol in itself.
Yeah.
Wine and spirits. What is that insinuating?
Yeah. Spirits.
If you tap into a bottle of Jack Daniel, you might receive a false spiritual awakening due to the results of alcohol.
Evil spirits.
Exactly. What about even getting high? You're like, hey, Maddie, let's go get high right now.
Well, like smoking dope?
Just
like smoking weed?
Just in general.
I mean, I smoke marijuana, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I smoke a lot. And I almost feel like since it started, I don't want to be without it because it's like, I feel like it takes my anxiety away. It almost offers me an appetite at times where I feel like my mood's not there. I can't even eat. Because I get to, like, not for nothing, I did do a long stretches in solitary confinement, been through some fucked up shit. And so, I think maybe a little PTSD kicks in sometimes, bro. Because I get, like, wicked fucked up. I won't be able to eat much. And I'll just be chilling. Like, I get really fucked up. Like, everybody's in some fake shit. And I just start thinking some fucked up shit. And then I smoke. And it's like, everything's better again, almost immediately. I see people in a better light. My mood is lighter. The anxiety's gone. So I think some people almost, it could benefit them, like fucking, especially right when they get out of prison.
No, but I'm saying like, and I do respect all methods, right? Whatever's gonna bring somebody ease and comfort.
You can't use it as a crutch, and you can't make excuses if it's not going right. That's a problem.
So look, even like to piggyback off of what you were saying, which was beautiful, because we're gonna get a little deep.
Yeah.
So like the falseness, the false spiritual awakening due to the results of wine and spirits, and to understand what I'm even engaging in. So if Maddie says, "Yo, E, let's go smoke right now. Let's get high."
Right.
The question I would ask you is, what does that mean? Question mark. What are we becoming ambassadors for? And I do a little bit of work on myself, and I realize I'm representing an experience that I have no idea what it even means. And if wine and spirits with alcohol, you're tapping into a false spiritual awakening due to the results of that. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to higher my levels of consciousness from wallowing in those low levels that anger and depression and false sense of reality. I'm trying to diffuse from wallowing inside of those low calibrated states. So I'm trying to higher my being so I could see the world in a regular lens, man.
You gotta think, like, every time you go to one of those meetings, you pick something up. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like you're around some of the smartest people, some of the people that have been through probably the worst things in life. You know what I mean?
True.
Some of the hardest stories out there.
True.
Sitting at those meetings, listening. And you know what's crazy? What struck me one time is I was in there listening, and I'm looking at all the people. And I remember thinking one time, like, everybody's, like, this is what it was. I went from clumping them all together, like, this is a group of junkies. This is a group of just the people they're just a bunch of weak lames. Like, I'm not in that group. There they are. They're lumped together over there. I'm sitting in there, but I'm not part of that. I didn't feel it. And then I was sitting in there one day and I'm like, this is a diverse group of humans with a diverse group of stories. All these different stories. Every single person in there has got, one thing in common with a million differences. You know what I mean? Everything's different. You got people from every walks of life. You got girls that are like yuppies. Then you got like dudes that are living on the streets still. You know what I mean? Then you got guys in sober houses. You got guys that own their own cars. You got guys in the beginning of their journey and guys that are around the end of their journey. So it's just like it's a cool setting. It's a cool atmosphere for people that really want to do something better, get some advice and shit.
So think about it, right? Like, typically you're going to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Right.
But that can only get you thus far. You know what my team looks like today?
What's that?
Imagine a football team with a whole bunch of quarterbacks on it. How far would you get? Are you trying to win a Super Bowl and get a championship ring? My team is that diversity. I need you.
Yeah.
I need the person that graduated Harvard. I need the individual that spent an abundance of time incarcerated.
Right.
I need that. Hey, dude. I need.
Your team and shit. Your support.
I'll be so close-minded, I'll cut myself off from other walks of life, and then the next thing you know, we are now winning a championship.
Yeah, you do need connections. You do networking. You can't do everything alone. You know what I mean? You need other people. You do. Yeah, it's human nature.
It's beautiful.
You think is there anything else that you think that is super important right now? Like you want to get off your chest, bro, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, man. I want to just let this guy know that I thoroughly appreciate him for asking me to come on here. And I know this is the W number, and we touched base on a little bit of recovery, but for anybody that understands the beautiful conversation that we had right now, it was in depth. I feel uplifted and inspired, right? There's always room for growth and development and change, and you can do it too. But this is the end of the saga, right? It looked like that, and now a 12-step group facilitator at Rockland Recovery. I'm part of an LLC that's called Jeffrey's Mission to get scholarship funds for people that do not have money to get inside of sober living. And I'm the director of sober houses, and we have 3 sober houses on the South Shore.
Is there something that you could do for anybody listening right now if they're in a need of some sort?
I cannot make any promises, but if you're inside of a need, call my phone and I'll go above and beyond to be of service to you.
You can leave a comment in my chat box if you want. I don't know if you're going to be able to call his phone, but you could definitely, because I don't, how are you going to leave the number, right? You can't put it on.
Reach out to Maddie, and then
we'll get his information.
And I'll try my hardest to get you on.
What's your Instagram?
Eddie.Payne99.
I'll put it in the description of the video so people can reach out to you through DM on Instagram or on his Instagram. Go follow him, man. Show him some support. I appreciate everybody who showed up today. If you want, you could become a member to the W Number Podcast for $2.99. You can support a great mission, a great cause, a good purpose. What the mission is, man, rising above a statistic, being a statistic, man. And a W number is something you get for them to label you as a statistic, and now we're sitting here rising above, bro. So salute to everybody who showed up. I appreciate it, man. All the support, all the love. W number. Ow!